Actors are people who pretend to be other people for a living. I know that sounds like a made-up job, but for real, that's what they actually do. Sometimes actors are called actresses if they're a lady, but I'm just gonna use the universal capital A actor to represent any person that pretends to be another person for inclusivity, and also I don't wanna have to write any extra words. Actors pretend to be different people, so at the end of the year, they have a chance to meet the best actor of all. Oscar. Oscar is a golden genderless entity that has acted in many of the most acclaimed films of all time. Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, Money Plane. Oscar was in all of them. The main goal of an actor is to be good enough to meet Oscar at the end of the year. Except Oscar is dead now, so now the best actors just get a little statue of Oscar, but they can talk to it all the time. Most people get to meet Oscar by just doing a really good job in whatever role they were cast in. A good actor is like a cog in a machine. Their job isn't just to be good, but it's also to elevate and help their fellow actors do even better. Just because you're the biggest cog in the machine doesn't mean you can forget about the other smaller ones. Everything has to be working together perfectly, because when everything works just right, the whole movie gets to meet Oscar. Sometimes, though, actors want to take shortcuts to meet Oscar, and they do this by using something called Oscar bait. Now, there are a lot of different brands and flavors of Oscar bait, but the most potent variety is Oscar bait Oops All Special Needs. No one knows exactly when it started, but I traced this phenomenon back to a very famous case featuring Tom Hanks, and we all know the one. Mazes and Monsters from 1982. In this movie, Tom Hanks plays a character who begins to believe that the game of Dungeons and Dragons that he's playing is actually real life, and he almost jumps to his death.
Going to join the Great Hall.
You can't, it's a trap.
I have spells. I'm going to fly.
You don't have enough points. I am the maze controller.
Maze control?
Yes. And I have absolute authority in this game.
Game?
Game.
Game. TJ, what am I doing here?
The film, of course, was a smash hit and led to Tom Hanks once again busting out the Oscar bait for his next movie, The Gump Forest Cafe. Again, it was a smash hit, and now it was clear to every actor that if they wanted to meet Oscar, they would have to take up a challenging, high-risk, high-reward character like Gump Forrester. Rosie O'Donnell, best known for her role as that monkey from Tarzan, would be the next to try and use Oscar bait with her film Riding the Bus with My Sister, except Rosie O'Donnell accidentally used the Walmart Great Value version of the Oscar bait, and it did not work as well.
Jesse's delicious! He's gonna take me today to get a new toilet seat because mine got broken and was sliding. I would fall off of it, like, whoa!
For years, actors have tried all different variations of Oscar bait with mixed success. For every What's Eating Gilbert Grape, there was a tiptoes to even out the ratio. It became clear that there was a very fine line for what was considered tasteful when it came to actors portraying characters with disabilities or special needs. Most of the time, though, the main factor for if it was considered tasteful or not is if the actor was good in the movie. There has been a lot of discourse over the use of this specific type of Oscar bait over the years, with the most notable case in recent memory being The Fanatic with John Travolta.
Moose is in the house. Moose is in the house. Watch out. Watch out. Here's Moosey. You rock my head and you rattle my head. You rock it like I go to bed.
It's movies like The Fanatic that really make this a tricky topic to talk about, because The Fanatic is supposed to be a drama, and yet I found myself laughing throughout most of the movie.
I can't talk too long. I gotta poo.
This is a classic case of an actor that really wants to meet Oscar, but they forget to ask the question of whether or not what they're doing even works beyond the concept of it. While there have been performances that have used Oscar bait that I would consider to be great, there are also some really terrible ones and some that are downright hilarious. This weird phenomenon has been going on for years, and while the performances are varying in their memorability, it's the parody parodies of this phenomenon that really stand out. Tearjerker is a James Bond parody that sees the normal cast of American Dad taking on the roles of their closest on-screen counterparts. This episode works fantastically well as a James Bond parody, but that's only the first layer. Roger is playing the character Tearjerker, a Bond villain who aims to make the world cry to death with his Oscar bait stuffed film titled Oscar Gold. In Tearjerker's film, every conceivable kind of Oscar bait is used to its maximum efficiency, making for a film that is unbearably sad. Tearjerker has crafted the ultimate form of Oscar bait, and he aims to spread his film worldwide until he's jerked off every tear out of every eye on the planet. Tearjerker isn't just a great James Bond parody, it's also a great parody of Oscar-baiting celebrity ego projects. The episode isn't making fun of people with special needs, it's making fun of the people who think they can portray people with special needs despite not being good enough. It's the same reason I love Tropic Thunder, a movie that sees Ben Stiller's character trying to play a character with special needs called Simple Jack. Simple Jack isn't funny because the audience is laughing at a special needs character. It's funny because Ben Stiller's character thinks he's such an incredible actor that he can play this role tastefully. Roles like Simple Jack or like Tearjerker's Oscar Gold tend to only exist because of the ego of the actor portraying the role and the desire to meet Oscar at the end of the year. These parodies have come under fire in the past for being tasteless, despite the whole point of them being to be tasteless, because these portrayals are often really tasteless in real life. Tearjerker is one of my favorite episodes of American Dad because it's making fun of actors that are so desperate to meet Oscar that they'll throw common sense and taste aside. Actors become blinded by the potential attention and acclaim that comes with a role that they forget that they are supposed to be acting like a real human being with a disability instead of a cartoon character. So long as actors want attention and validation for their work, there are going to be ego projects like The Fanatic, like Oscar Gold, and like Simple Jack. They're just not gonna stop. And while you can bring up the issue of representation of disabled and special needs people in the entertainment industry, the fact is, these projects exist for the actors playing the role. They are there purely for their ego and for a chance to meet Oscar. So clearly, the solution to this very delicate and very systematic issue within Hollywood is to just get rid of Oscar. Get rid of him. He's already dead. They're not really meeting Oscar anymore. It's just a little statue. What's the whole point of the entire thing? People are going to keep making movies like this for a chance to meet Oscar, even though Oscar isn't around anymore. I guarantee you get rid of this, the entire industry heals. Every bit of it. It all heals. But you know what? They're probably not going to do that. They're going to keep on making movies like this for the actors that are seeking out roles like this because they want a chance to meet Oscar at the end of the year, and the question of representation for disabled and special needs actors is going to continue to be up in the air until there is a massive systematic change. However, there is one happy little side effect to the fact that none of this is actually changing, and that is that the more portrayals we get that are tasteless and laughably bad, the more parodies we're gonna get. And Tearjerker is one of my favorite parodies of all time, let alone one of my favorite episodes of American Dad. And if you've at all been interested in this weird phenomenon, it's definitely an episode worth watching. So forget about Oscar, he's overrated and also dead. Focus on what's really important: making fun of actors that pretend to have special needs and do a terrible job. And if you ever feel bad like you're being too hard on John Travolta or Rosie O'Donnell for their tasteless portrayals of people with special needs, remember, they got paid to do that. It's a real job. I know I've joked around a lot in this video, but that was real. That's real. Like, they actually get paid to do this, and that's what they came up with. Shit's crazy, man.